There are many mysteries in the world, and one of the most despicable is the story of serial killers. Since the dark side of human nature has always attracted attention, today we will look at a case that made many remember the German city of Dresden. This is the story of Volker Eckert, a man who became synonymous with fear and horror. Volker Eckert was born in 1966 in a small town in Germany. From an early age, he showed psychopathic tendencies. More than once he was caught in cruel acts towards animals. Over time, this aggression turned into something much more dangerous. The older he got, the more ugly desires grew in him. Observing his behavior, one could suspect that this person, despite his appearance, was still not worth trusting. In 1992, Eckert committed his first murder. His victim was a 19-year-old student whom he lured to his house under the pretext of helping her with her homework. Her body was found only a few days later, buried in a forest on the outskirts of the city. Research has shown that the student was brutally tortured before her death. This case shocked the local public, but unfortunately, despite numerous testimonies, Eckert remained at large, the queen of mystical stories and horrors. Watching the events unfolding in Dresden, society began to panic. Local residents were afraid to leave their homes, especially at night. And news reported new mysterious disappearances of young women every day, but the police, as it turned out, were powerless in the face of this chain of crimes. In 1994, another murder took place. The victim was a 22-year-old woman. Unlike previous cases, this death was even more brutal. Volker killed a woman in front of her child. As before, the police could not find any clues, and even modern technology did not allow them to catch the killer. Eckert knew how to leave a clean trail behind him, and he didn't seem to be anywhere. However, soon fate decided to intervene. In 1995, he met Hannah, a young girl who was able to detect human qualities in him. They began to meet and forget about their previous sins. Hannah had no idea who Volker really was, and perhaps this connection became the last opportunity for him to turn the page in his life. But these happy moments were few and far between. Unfortunately, the story does not always end positively. After a few months of the relationship, Eckert again resorted to his feelings. This time his victim was Hannah. Softer, the manner of the murder remained as brutal as before. But Volker decided to surrender to the police. He hoped the cruelty he was trying to prevent was not the subject of an investigation. It is worth mentioning that in German law there is a concept of being in a feverish state. This means that a criminal can abuse his mental health in an attempt to avoid punishment. And Volker Eckert took advantage of this provision. He claimed that his actions were caused by mental disorders, and that he is not responsible for his actions. Attempts to prove his innocence were unsuccessful. After long months of waiting, the investigation obtained convincing evidence of his guilt. Already in 1997, Volker Eckert was sentenced to life imprisonment for 3 murders and numerous attempted murders. The court hearings attracted the attention of the local media, which actively covered this shocking case. Behind bars, Volker's mental state continued to deteriorate. He began to claim that he was haunted by fantasies and that unseen forces controlled his actions. Doctors could not find a clear pathology, but there was constant confusion in establishing the diagnosis. During his imprisonment, Eckert showed no change in his behavior. He remained cold and emotionless, showing no trace of remorse. Perhaps this was another sign of his psychopathy, as many serial killers begin to show some emotion after being arrested in an attempt to appear more human. This story left a deep impression on the minds of local residents, who tried to return to their normal lives, but some of them may have been left with a sense of fear forever. Although Volker Eckert will be behind bars, the story of his horrific crimes will forever be remembered by those who were directly or indirectly affected by his actions. Volker Eckert's dark chapter reminds us that the world is not always a safe place, and that even the people closest to us may not be who they think they are. This story represents not only a criminal disaster, but also a problem of society as a whole, a problem of trust, human nature, and the desire to understand what is hidden behind the face of each person. If you are looking for more information about serial killers, psychologists, or detective investigations, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We will explore even more intriguing and terrifying stories, share with you new facts and research that will reveal unknown pages of humanity,